Hoe ver staan we met de gastenlijst, Hans? Zijn we er bijna?
Ik denk dat we er zo goed als bijna zijn, ja. Dus ik... Wacht. Ja, ik denk dat we eigenlijk kunnen van start gaan. Het is nu 3 na, dus ik denk dat iedereen sowieso wat geconnecteerd is eh, en binnen is. Dus voilà, dus voor degenen die net bijgekomen zijn, heb ik het advies gegeven van alle wijnen al te schenken, omdat al deze wijnen baat hebben bij lucht. Hè. Normaal gezien is het caraferende boodschap bij Chateau Musar. Dus als je ze al in je glas kunt schenken, dan krijgen ze al een beetje lucht en daar gaan ze wel bij varen. Voilà, dan stel ik voor, Dimitri, dat we kunnen starten. Hè.
Ja, top. Zeker en vast. Ehm, Eerst en vooral iedereen welkom. Toen een beetje pijzen terug aan de COVID-periode, uiteraard, waarin dat we dit iedere week deden. Het is een keer op algemene aanvraag doen we dit opnieuw. De vraag kwam zelfs ook van Chateau Musar, want ze hebben het heel weinig gedaan, maar ze hadden enorm genoten van de degustatie die we in de tijd gedaan hebben. Dus bij deze, op algemeen verzoek, een nieuwe online tasting. Wie weet misschien terug een Hanse reeks die nu volgt. Maar goed, laten we vooral al beginnen met de eerste die al een topper is, Chateau Musar uit Libanon. Welcome to Gaston, Jane, and the winemaker also here. So we will introduce a bit in general Chateau Musar, and then we come back to you guys, where I leave the stage completely for you. If people have some problem with English, we will translate that a bit later if they have any questions. Dus mochten er mensen zijn die moeilijk met Engels overweg kunnen, vraag het gewoon in de chat. Dan stoppen we regelmatig een keer om het eventueel te vertalen. Of aarzel niet om een vraag te stellen in de chat. Dat ze ons deugd doen. En dat is geen, we willen feedback, we willen vragen. Dus aarzel zeker niet om dat te doen. Alright, heel snel eens over Libanon. Wat kan ik u daarover vertellen? Dus ik hou nogal van mindmaps, dat is duidelijk. En daar hebben we, kan iedereen het zien? Ik had een beetje inzoomen, misschien dat zal gemakkelijker zijn. Maar goed, de Libanese vlag, die eigenlijk bestaat, and maybe I talk in English, so then everybody can follow. And correct me if I'm wrong, someone from Lebanon, maybe they have some extra information or some extra details, which didn't arrive in Belgium yet. So the flag, we have, let's say, two different things, which is the cedar tree and the red and white. It seems that the cedar tree is common to strength and eternity, but also resistance, hope, and freedom. And then the red and the white, the red must be or should be or is the blood that I've searched up, and the white is then for peace and freedom. So a country with really a lot of strength, also a lot of wars which have passed, but also faith for the future and for the peace and freedom. In size, it's about 1/3 of Belgium. So a very small country where you have actually everything, where you have like a coast side with palm trees, let's say, and then you have mountains and you have eternity snow. So on a very short distance. And I can show you that a bit on another presentation, which is actually fun to show the true size of, and this is it. You see, this is Lebanon. So you can situate it a bit. It's close to Syria, Jordania, Israel, Iraq. But if you take Lebanon and you bring it in terms of size, just to show you a bit how Belgium is quite actually a small country, but if you compare Lebanon, if you do the big distance in this kind of distance, then you see we come to arrive Ghent, between Ghent, a little bit further maybe, but so very small. And on that distance, you have the coast side, but also the mountains with the snow. So very, very short. So like I said, 1/3 of Belgium. Let's go back to my mind map. Yes. You see borders a little bit. I don't gonna read everything. You can read yourself, but also qua religion, mostly Muslims, and 1/3 about is Christian. Capital Beirut, which is seen as Paris of the Middle East. We have like 4 different regions, like already discussed, already said. When we go from the west to the east, we come from the coast we have the first Lebanon mountain range. Then we have the Bekaa Valley. Remember that because this is where the grapes are. And then we have on the other side the anti-Lebanon mountains. So actually between two mountains. And we have a phone call. Hans, I'm going to give it to you. Maybe someone would love to enter. Hans, kun je hier komen? All right. Wine history already for 3000 before Christ. Where something which I need to pronounce is that why the Bordeaux and Rhône grapes? Because in this period, it was controlled by France. So the influence of France is actually quite present in the Lebanon of today. They had a civil war, and then in 1990, they were about only 3 wine producers. Today, they have a lot of more. Let's say they have like 55, 54 different wine properties. This is the data of today, a couple of years ago. Maybe there is an update about that, but that the information didn't come through. So mostly red wines, and about 1/4 is white wines. Okay, what do we can tell more? Chateau Musar has quite a long history, and actually Gaston started, then his son Serge continued. Gaston, Serge, so this is actually quite recognizable from a Gaston to a Serge, back to a Gaston, and back again to Serge. Serge, which unfortunately died in 2014, has 2 sons now. Gaston is now here in our tasting. Mark, his brother, and then Rolf are actually the people who run the business today. And then we have Tarak, which is the spiritual 3rd son of Serge, which is also attending this wine tasting. The Bekaa Valley is about 80% of the wine producing region, actually the most important region. We go actually 1,000 meters above sea level. That's the average height. What can we say more about the grapes? Actually, the most grapes which are grown in Lebanon, we mainly will know. Only these 2, maybe, Merwa and Obaida, are autochthonous grapes from Lebanon, which we're going to taste a little bit later in the white wine. In red, it's mostly common grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Carignan, Cinsault, like I said, Bordeaux, and southern France inspired. All right, maybe just a little map, which is going to be... Hans, krijg een telefoon terug, waarschijnlijk iemand die wat inloggen. Op mijn gsm. All right, then we can... And we can show you. Voila, that's also a nice one to share. Here you see a bit the 2 mountain ranges, which is the Mount Lebanon range and the anti-Lebanon range. And then between where the grapes are shown on the map, you have the Bekaa Valley, Beirut, and this is where Chateau Musar is situated. So, I don't know who is going to take the word the first, if it's going to be Monsieur Hochar, or I don't know who's going to.
No, Gaston will take the lead.
Gaston.
Hello, Dimitri. Thank you for this presentation. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. I will be giving you a small part of the history of the company. And then if you have questions, I think you can send them through the Q&A and Dimitri will ask them. I don't think it's allowed to ask the question directly while I'm speaking, although I don't have any issue with this, and for me, it's not a problem. Then, after I finish describing a little bit the history of the company, Tarek will be discussing a little bit the wines. I don't have any wines with me. He has them where he is at the winery. I have a cold, I have a cough, so if you don't hear me well, I'm sorry. And things happen. So, thank you, Dimitri, for this presentation. There's a lot of information and it's all very interesting. So today, Lebanon is a small country, a third of Belgium, 10,000 square kilometers, 200 kilometers from north to south, and 50, 60 kilometers wide. And in this, you have the coastal part, which is 220 kilometers on the eastern part of the Mediterranean. Then you have Mount Lebanon, the first mountain range. And here, as Dimitri said, we go up to 3,000 meters. So we have snow during the winter and we can go skiing, usually from end December till end of March. Then the altitude goes back down to 1,000 meters, and we have from north to south this Bekaa Valley, which runs 180 roughly kilometers long, 10 kilometers wide, and then we go back up to 2,500 meters, and this is the border with Syria or with Israel in the south, with the Mount Hermon, which altitude is 2,800 meters. So this is how we situate Lebanon. So in ancient times, Lebanon was always known to grow grapes, and the Phoenicians have been growing grapes for 3,000 years. They've been shipping it to Mesopotamia, to Egypt. There is plenty of different traces. I did myself a conference last week on links between civilizations at the Mediterranean Wine Symposium, which was in Spain. So I did a lot of research on this subject. But to come back to us, so wine is not new in Lebanon. It's not a new world-producing country. It's really an old wine-producing country. And the grapes and the wines left the Middle East. I'm not going to say Lebanon because it would be too presumptuous. Left the Middle East and went westwards, first with the Phoenicians. They went to Carthage, to southern Italy, to Spain, to southern France. They also went to Greece. There were exchanges also with Greeks, with Italy. Then when the Greeks invaded, they took part of the wines, they took part of the grapes. They also had some grapes themselves. There were some mixes. Then the Italians invaded, and so they also took wines and they took the grapes, and so it spread all over Europe. Now, after that, the Romans did build one of the biggest temples, which is the Bacchus temple. They built it in Lebanon in the Bekaa Valley. Why did they choose the Bekaa? Because probably it was one of the best places to grow grapes. Why is it the best place? We can talk about this maybe later when we talk about the wines. But nevertheless, we have a temple where columns have 24 meters in height, 1.8 meters in diameter. There's 48 columns all around, so it's really a huge temple. Furthermore, after this part and the Roman Empire which collapsed, we had the Arabs which invaded, so wine and alcohol was put a bit on hold. Then there was different empires which came through, and finally we had the Ottomans in the beginning 16th century. At the time, we were a little bit helped by the French, and this is where in the 19th century, so before the French became, after the First World War, the country who was ruling Lebanon, there was really close ties, and it's the missionaries which came from France in the 19th century, which brought with them the varieties, the grape varieties of Cinsault, of Carignan, of Syrah, which were in the southern France, and they planted them in Lebanon. And so also they brought with them phylloxera, which we had beginning of the 20th century. To come back to our story, in 1930, my grandfather was 20 years old, and his parents sent him to France to study medicine. But after 1 year, he didn't like it at all. He came back and opened a wine business. Now, fortunately, he had two things which helped. His brother-in-law, so the husband of his sister, owned a very nice location, a castle called Musar, at 400 meters altitude overlooking the Mediterranean Bay, and he was an agronomical engineer. So he helped him, and so my grandfather built in the cellars of this magnificent castle concrete vats where he started producing the wines. And at the time, we were under French mandate since 1920 by the Société des Nations, and therefore we had two parts of the wines were spread in two consumption ways. One were the Lebanese living in Lebanon, and the other was the French army living in Lebanon or coming to Lebanon. And therefore, he wanted a name which was more French-like, and so he made the name of the place Musar, more French, and he called it Musar. And this is how Chateau Musar started. The production was increasing slowly. In the 50s, the castle where we were was too small, so my grandfather bought a piece of land 100 meters away, and he built the winery, which is still today on this piece of land, which had an old house with vaults on both sides in both directions, which is today our cask or our barrel cellar. And so the winery was built in its actual location in the mid 50s. At the end of the 50s, my father joins my grandfather, puts him aside, and my uncle, so my father's brother, joins in beginning 60s. My father takes care of production, and my brother takes care of marketing and sales. At the time, all the production was sold in Lebanon. We were only exporting 2 or 3% to directors of hotels and restaurants which had been in Lebanon during some of those years. Going back to their countries, they wanted the wines, so they took them with them. But it was tiny and not at all representative. In 1975,
Okay. Gaston is done. Bad connection.
It's electricity cut. No worries. He will be back in a few seconds. It's an electricity cut. This is normal in Lebanon.
hello? Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, electricity cut. So we got cut off, sorry. So in 1975, the war broke out and the local market collapsed. And therefore, my father and uncle had to find other markets to sell the wines. And so at the end of the 70s, they go to the UK, to the Bristol Wine Fair. It was one of the most important wine fairs at the time. Why the UK? Because it was a market which was open. There wasn't a local production, and therefore it wasn't like people would mind if you were selling a different wine from a different country. And here they had a stand, they showed the wines, people tasted, sommeliers tasted, journalists tasted, wine connoisseurs, wine professionals. We had very nice reviews, nice articles, and therefore we had demand for the wines. With this demand, they had two options: or take a distributor or open a company. Why open a company while taking a distributor would be so simple? I don't know. Nevertheless, they opened the company. And that company started selling the wines on the UK market. But also, we had, during the following years, so beginning 80s, demand for other markets in Europe and all over the world. And we couldn't handle them out of Lebanon because Lebanon was under war. So shipping one pallet, half a pallet, 2 pallets, 3 pallets from Lebanon was impossible. And so therefore, all the orders came to the UK company and they would deliver. And so we had a centralized stock in the UK, which we would ship from Lebanon directly in full containers. And so the UK company, which started as selling for the UK, finished by selling to the whole world. It became the hub of Chateau Musar. Except for 2 countries, the US, because they have special labeling requirements, and Dubai, because it's also closer from Lebanon. But these are the 2 exceptions. In 1984, Decanter magazine starts their Man of the Year award, and the first Man of the Year, they decide, is my father. Why? Because he was, according to them, producing exceptional wines in very difficult circumstances. And in 1990, at the end of the so-called Civil War, we were exporting 95% of our production. And before the war, we were two wineries in Lebanon, two main wineries. After the war, we were three. One of the companies started in the late 70s and took our place on the local market. Now, we couldn't abandon completely the market locally, and in the 90s, we decided to come back slightly in Lebanon, and today we export 80% and we sell locally 20%. Our production is roughly 600,000 bottles a year, 600 to 700,000 bottles a year. We have 80% of reds, 10% of whites, and 5% of rosé. Like this, you have a breakdown. We have four ranges of wines. We have the Chateau Musar as a red, white, and rosé. We have the Hochak Perifis as a red. As a white and a rosé, they do not exist at export, but only in Lebanon. We have two wines which are called Korai, which we launched 6 years ago, not available outside of Lebanon. Then we have our third range, which is one red, which is a Levantine, which is only in some specific markets. And then we have the entry-level range, which is Musar Jeune, which exists also in red, white, and rosé. Now, they're all differentiated the percentages of the varieties and by the varieties in the blending. I joined the company in 1994, so 30 years ago, 31 years ago. Tarek joined in 1991, so a couple of years older than me, 3 years older. Jane joined first because she joined in 1988, so she's the oldest here between us in the company. And so I'm the third generation. We run the business, my brother and I, with our cousin. And so we're continuing all that has been built, since 1930. What is important is my father, in 1959, when he joined and started producing the wines, produced them with the philosophy. Before that, my grandfather produced the wines and he wanted wines of top quality. But my father added to this not only top quality, but also natural winemaking. And so since the end of the 50s, all our wines have been done with this philosophy. It's the wild yeast on the skins which does the fermentation. We add no enological products. We add nothing except sulfites. Sulfites are added in minimal quantities, and this is how we do our wines. Each vintage has its own character, has its own taste, is very peculiar, and has its own life. And you'll see them when you taste them later on. Now, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to leave you for the tasting with Tarek if you want to taste, unless you want to have to accept some questions for this part of the presentation. I leave this to Hans and Dimitri.
Well, maybe just one remark I already gave to some that entered at the beginning. Dus voor degenen die laatst bijgekomen zijn, we gaan vanavond een aantal wijnen proeven die een ongelooflijk bewaarpotentieel hebben. Dus het is eigenlijk zeer belangrijk dat je de wijnen al uitschenkt. Normaal gezien hebben Musar-wijnen altijd zeer veel baat bij wat lucht, dus bij carafferen. Dan wordt het een beetje moeilijk als we 6 verschillende wijnen hebben, om 6 verschillende karaffen te hebben natuurlijk. Dus ik zou zeggen, schenk ze gerust al allemaal in het gepaste glas, zodanig dat ze wat lucht kunnen krijgen, want daar gaan ze sowieso baat bij hebben.
Thank you, Hans. Just a question to maybe to the family of Hushar or to Tarek. You prefer to start with the red ones or with the rosé and maybe then to the red ones to end with the white ones? Or we start from white and then we do the rosé and then the red one? What is your preference?
Whatever you have in mind. Look, in general, Serge used to start with the reds. After that, at the end, the whites. Here we have the rosé. You choose how you start, because I'm putting them in front of me as if they are music notes. So I'm smelling each one of them. Each one of them is completely different. I would make it up to you. Whatever you have in your glass, I will start. Just tell me where and.
I would recommend starting with the rosé, then moving on the reds and finishing with the whites.
Yeah, I would suggest the same. Yeah, that's good. Let's do that. Let's start with number 3 then, for the people who have the whole package, which is the rosé, of course. Let's start with that. Great.
So this is, you have the Chateau 2018.
Yes.
It's a blend of 3 grape varietals: Senso, Marweh, and Ubaidi. Senso is the least one, at about 3%, and practically Ubaidi is 60%, and Marweh about 37. So the three amount will make 100%. Those grapes are pressed together. They are harvested and pressed together to have the same juice. They go into new oak where they will ferment for about 30 days and stay in new oak for 9 months. After that, bottled. So this is an oak fermentation, oak aging, and bottling, and stay 6 years in the bottle. This is bottled in June 2019 and launched in recently.
Maybe important also to tell that wines who are coming from Chateau Musar, the most recent vintage is actually already, this is 2018. So they wait 7 years until they launch it on the market, 6-7 years until that's bringing on the market, which is already very exceptional. It costs a fortune to keep the wines and to bring it later on the market. This is not just a rosé, this is a rosé which is really a wine, not just a rosé you're just drinking as an aperitif. You can do that, but this is something much more than that. A lot of things happening. Imagine really pay attention to the aftertaste, which is going for a long time.
It's another level of rosé. Rarely rosé are aged in oak. This is something much more complex, much more gastronomical. It goes you into different styles of taste and much more structured, textured and structured. So you have apricots. When you just smell it, you have apricots with a little bit of pears, and when you taste it, you have a lot of smooth tannins, and as if you are, I don't know what you call it in German, you have a quince also, because fruits which is like quince have a little bit of bitterness in the taste. It doesn't give you the sweet taste. It's a fruit, but sometimes it gives you a bit of bitterness. It's rarely fruit have bitterness, but this is quince. This is the style of quince. I don't know what you call it in German.
Okay, in Belgium we call it kweepeer, yeah.
Okay.
Kweepeer. Also a nice, at the end, you have like a saltiness which is coming back, which giving you like the desire to drink another glass and another glass. It's really, inviting for more.
Saltiness.
Yeah.
90% of saltiness in the wine come from calcareous soils, come from gravely, come from salinity. And this is what gives the wine much more distinctive quality. This kind of salinity will give you an idea about what the soil is. You will never find salinity in silty soils, in sandy soils. You will feel depth, you will feel structure in soils. In those in calcareous soil, you will feel salinity. You will feel this kind of astringency with those kind of tastes. This is a very typical calcareous soil. Because the Marweh and the Ubaidi and even the Senso, all of those grapes that exist in this wine come from calcareous soil, especially the white and the rosé.
When you talk about soils, Tarek, soils in the Bekaa Valley, they are everywhere the same, or you have different plots?
No. I have different soils in just, let's say, 1 kilometer range. So I have silty soils in Ana. I have a gravely soil in Kefraya. I have calcareous soil with also gravely soil in Ammi. And the next to the mountains, because Ana vineyards are divided into 2 regions, one directly next to the mountain and the other practically in the plain. So those in the plain is much more silty, and next to the mountain is practically gravely.
Can we say that? So that's correct that the whites are planted on this side of the mountain, And the reds on
Well, I'm talking about the reds now. The whites come from the Lebanon, the Mount Lebanon, this range. Where it's written Mount Lebanon, Merweh, and the
yeah.
Ubaidi is from Anti-Lebanon. Yes,
Okay.
Mount Lebanon is practically most of it is calcareous. This is Mount Lebanon, and in Anti-Lebanon, in this region also have a calcareous, but the most calcareous soil exists in Mount Lebanon. This is Mount Lebanon is the land of Merweh. The Anti-Lebanon is the land of Abaidi.
All right.
All right, and the census of 2018 practically comes from the Bekaa Valley.
Is there a link between the Obaida and the Merah with another grape or parents? Or?
It's two different grapes. The Merweh practically is very characteristic of the region of Mount Lebanon, which has a lot of rain, 2,000 milliliter. It gives the characteristic of nature, greenery, zest, lemon, citrus, everything with explosion of fruits. While Abaidi, it's much more in the area where you have less rain, practically 600, 400 milliliter. It gives you more I will not say the desert style, but let me say much more structure, much more buttery, much more fatty, because you have more sun and less rain. So both of them are complementary. They are not contradictory. They are complementary. They join with each other to give the true taste of Lebanon wines. Practically, Lebanon wines, the Mount Lebanon, before the French came, was Merweh. We have to be honest about that. This is what was dominating all the grapes. If you go to Mount Lebanon, if you come to my village, in anyone's village in Mount Lebanon, you will find the Merweh grape between the oak trees, between the olive trees, next to the fig trees. You will find it everywhere. Okay, this is what is born with this soil. This is what is adapted to this soil. Okay, if you go to the Anti-Lebanon, you'll see the same, but the Abaidi. So this is where we Serge joined both of grapes together to give this, let me say, consensus of a Lebanese wine taste, which is give the Chateau Musar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is also a rosé which you can age for a long time. So it's very nice to drink it now, but you can keep it.
This rosé is doing amazing, especially after when you age it in new oak. It gives him a lot of fuel, as if it's a car. So you have a lot of fuel, a lot of tannin from the oak, and the quality, the high quality. You are dealing here with very low yields. Don't forget, we are dealing with about 11 to 15 hectare yields. With oak, it gives a lot of potential for this wine. So this is an extremely unique rosé, something you want to have in your cellar, and you want to taste it, and you want to show that some rosés are different from other rosé. This is a different rosé. Yeah, this is Musar rosé.
If they do it in a black glass and you drink it blind, you will never guess it's a rosé.
No, you will never guess first if it's rosé, and you will never guess what is the wine. It's more important not knowing the wine that it's rosé or white or red. This is a wine that you will never see what is this wine, from where it comes. This is a unique style. You understand? You need to have a lot of vertical tasting to just not to understand, but to see how it will evolve. Because we have still now rosé from 94, 95, my Chateau Rosé are still selling in US, and wines are extremely, extremely interesting.
Misschien, I will do a little translation on the terroir. Dus ik heb ook een keer, ik heb er juist geluisterd en ook een keer opgezocht. Dus gewoon zeer kort, zeer diverse terroir, met elk zijn eigen voordelen. We hebben een stuk leemgrond die zeer vruchtbaar is, goed doorlatend is. Dus dat geeft eigenlijk sowieso wat balans tussen wat waterretentie en wat drainage van de grond. We hebben gravel, dus echt grindbodems. Dus sowieso ook terug goede drainage, goede waterhuishouding, complexiteit geeft dat aan de wijn. Dat gaan we vanavond sowieso merken. We hebben kalkhoudende klei. Dus dat geeft een mineraliteit, dat geeft die ziltigheid waarover dat er juist gesproken is. Ook frisse zuren gaat dat geven aan de wijn. En we hebben terra Terra Rossa, die eigenlijk een soort van rode ijzerhoudende bodem is. Die een voordeel heeft dat het ook opwarmt en de warmte wat blijft behouden en dan daarna ook 's nachts de warmte wat afgeeft. Misschien interessant om ook te vermelden dat door de twee bergketens krijg je eigenlijk een soort van microklimaat in de Beka-vallei tussen die twee bergketens. Dus ideaal microklimaat, gepast qua regen, ook wat bescherming tegen de warmte vanuit het binnenland of tegen te zeer afkoelende invloed vanaf de zee. Dus je krijgt daar een soort van microterroir die eigenlijk het grote voordeel heeft dat er zeer diverse terroir is. Enkel tijdens het planten van de wijnstokken is er wat drainage nodig. We hebben daar, dacht ik, ook een foto van. We hebben dat vorige keer getoond. Waar dat je ziet dat dus in het begin die wijnstokken wat drainage krijgen om goed aan te pakken. Maar daarna is er dus geen drainage of geen watertoevoer meer nodig. Er is voldoende regenval. En het voordeel is natuurlijk ook dat het smeltwater van de bergen zorgt dat je een natuurlijke bevloeiing hebt, min of meer, zoals dat je misschien ook in Chili of Argentinië kunt hebben. Dus dat is eigenlijk het grote voordeel van de plaats waar deze druivenvariëteiten groeien.
Yes. Okay, I suggest that we should go to the first red one, but there was a question in the chat about does the rosé has the same aging potential as the red of white?
Okay, look, this is a question I always face. Yes, they have a lot of potential. I will not lie to anyone, say it will live 50 years, maybe it will live 100 years. So those wine of Chateau Musar, till now, today I was tasting with Gaston in the winery, white of 1966, which we are trying to put them sear it, wax on them. So wine of 1966 of Chateau Musar are still, when we selected them, so they are still very good. Those wine have a lot of potential. The age, minimum age, people will tell you 40, 50 years. I have no answer to be a logical answer. Those wine can age. Until now, I have never seen a Chateau Musar wine dying. I am here since 31 years. I have tasted, and especially I am doing reconditioning wine. I did the 56, 59, 70. 2 weeks ago, I did the 83, 85. I'm going back to 81 and 82, and they are magnificent. So unless the cork is failing, the wine is still there. So the problem, I don't think it's a wine. To be more scientific and to be more logical, the cork is the issue, not the wine.
Since when is the Chateau Musar rosé started? It's from the start already that you made the rosé?
No. I think it's 94 the first time.
94.
94.
We used to produce rosés since the 30s. But the Chateau Musar rosé and its actual blending was started in 1994.
Okay. Let's go for the first red one, which is the Chateau Musar Red 2018. So the same vintage, but then, of course, in red.
This is the recent vintage.
Yeah, the actual vintage.
What do you say, mûr in mûr in
Ripe.
English? No. It is ripe, but the
fruit, blueberry.
The fruit.
The blueberry.
Mûr. No, mûr is not blueberry. Blueberry, c'est myrtille.
Blauwe bessen.
Mûr, c'est pas blackberry.
I think it's blackberry. Yeah.
I see someone putting a tissue in his glass. Olivier. Yeah, never wipe a glass with a tissue. You're leaving fibers. And the fiber will affect the taste. Okay, if it's water, okay. This is wine, yeah.
So, as you can see, 2018 is rich, warm, very warm, and a lot of fruit. I call it mûr. Maybe it's mulberry. I think it's more mulberry. I'm seeing it on my telephone. It's much more mulberry. So rich, dark, warm, a lot of depth and big layers of taste. This is a wine that have at the same time elegant and a powerful taste. It gives you a lot of structure and depth. It's a wine doesn't leave you astringency. It leaves much more sweeter taste with warmth and a hint and let us say a presence of acidity. It's a very powerful wine, but with no muscles in the mouth, with no astringency, which as a personal taste, forget about tasting. It gives you a lot of time to discover the wine. When you have astringency, you say it's a powerful wine, and you stop there. When you have much more taste, you go and you find what are you tasting. You go and say this is something, this is something. So you have the opportunity to taste more and to discover more when astringency is less in a wine. And this is what 2018 is. Let us say it's something it's a lot of taste to discover and a lot of powerful taste.
Why?
Sorry.
I have two questions, actually.
Yeah.
One question is about what is the reason that you launched these wines 7 years after the vintage? First question. And then once you told me, or it's general known that Chateau Musar needs to be minimum 10 years before you drink it.
Okay,
Yes, no,
so
you go on.
7 years before, because we realize first we bottle our wines after 3 years. And we've realized that our wines need those 4 years to be able to settle down and start to express themselves properly, starting to show an evolution, not being just the fruit, the juice. Second, we cannot keep the wines indefinitely. So for us, 7 years is, we think, a good date, a good number of days. And then you have some people who might like them, enjoy them at that stage of their evolution. But then once the wines are released, they continue aging. They don't age in our cellars. They age in your cellars. And therefore, aging in your cellars, also, they will evolve. And we think that those wines start to show their full potential after 12 to 15 years. Okay? This is why we recommend to start drinking them after that period. This doesn't mean that they're not good before, but they haven't been able to show their full potential. You know, you have babies, you bring them up. At 3 months, maybe he puts you a small smile. At 3 years, he starts a little bit talking. At 7 years, he starts exchanging discussions with you, asking you questions. You have to answer. He pushes you through. At 12 years, 15 years, he has also today, with internet and all the information which is available, a much broader knowledge than what we had 40, 30, 50 years ago. And so he can enter a discussion, he can converse with you, he can oppose you, he can exchange with you on a completely different level. And if you go to someone who's 30 years of age, then he can share with you his experiences, what he's been through. It becomes sometimes more psychological. And therefore, the wine is the same thing. Because our wines are produced naturally, it's nature which shows these evolutions. When you open a bottle of Musar, you must not drink it directly. You need to wait. You need to oxygenate it. People tell you oxygen is the contrary of what a wine should meet. No, with Musar, oxygen, when you want to drink it, is what Musar needs to open up. And it's all this evolution of the wine that you will see in the glass, that you'll be able to taste. I see in front of me, I have all of you on the screen. You all have all of us on the screens. And I see different shapes of glasses. I see the big ones, the round ones, the tall ones, the fat at the middle, and the tight at the... And each one of those glasses will give you a different taste. So one of the experiences all of you should do one day is to take one wine and serve it in 3, 4 different shapes. And then here you'll see which glass fits which wine. Or maybe you'll decide, no, we need all the glasses because each glass will enhance a different character. So, and Musar can show this. We were at Wine Paris last month, and we had a Norwegian glass producer who came up and he wanted to show us his glasses. And he had 4 types of glass, 4 different shapes. And we tasted one wine in the 4 different shapes, one Chateau Red. And we said, this shape is for these types of wines. The other shapes don't give the same potential and don't show the same potential of the wine. So sometimes a wine is really linked to one glass shape, or this glass shape better enhances the character of the wine. And we had the glass shape for the red and the a different glass shape for the white. So wine is something where you can concentrate on the wine only, or we can switch to completely different subjects. So we can just go on to glasses, we can go on to history, we can go on to terroir, and we can do 10 Zooms on 10 different subjects, not only one. Okay. I wanted to just to open the window.
Yeah, maybe it would be good to. We have a lot of complexity already in the glass, so maybe it would be good to explain some more on the making of this red wine, because I understood it's 3 different grapes which gave each their own characteristics in the wine, so that adds in complexity, but also the winemaking itself is rather specific. So can you explain some more, maybe Tarek, on the winemaking?
First of all those grapes are certified organic, so no fertilizers are added, no pesticide, only sulfur, just to protect it from the powdery mildew. Those grapes arrive to the winery practically at full maturation. We choose a full maturation because wine in Lebanon, if it will not reach full maturation, it will lacks a lot of richness and thick. So when they will arrive to the winery, we starting the fermentation. No yeast is added, and pump overs are done many times just to extract. We have a lot of colors and a lot of taste from the pump over. So yeast is wild yeast. It will take between 6 to 10 days, maybe sometimes 15 days to finish fermentation. And you have to know one thing: if the quality is very good, the fermentation is very slow. So the high quality grapes are the most difficult fermentation we have. The higher quality and of wines means very difficult fermentation. And after fermentation, now we try to change all the wine, to put all the wines in directions, because we have 4 kind of reds, and all of them have Cabernet and Cinsault in them. Only one grape differs. For the Chateau, it's Carignan. For the Levantine, is Tempranillo. For the Musar Jeune, is Syrah. And for the Rocher, is Grenache. So it becomes much more practical, much more very precise. And those wines go into their, after malolactic fermentation. For the Chateau, it will go to rest about 6-9 months in cement vat. After 6-9 months, they go to spend 1 year in oak. After that, we blend, because we blend after the aging, not before aging, because some Bordeaux wines blend and go for aging. We blend after aging, and we put it in cement vat for 6 months and bottle, and we keep them for 4 years in our cellar. So 3 years before bottling, 4 years in the bottles, and this is 7 years for Chateau Musar. Those wines are defined by the purity of the viticulture and the very strategical view of the viticulture that is very natural. And every winemaking step we do, it's a tactical, it's something very easy to be done. It's very logical, and at the same time, it have one direction to express the real year. What is it? What is the taste? We do not want our wines to taste the same. That's why each harvest of Chateau Musar tastes different. It tastes how the year was, and this is our main objective. We don't want to be in honest. Last tasting, I told them, oenologists are like gynecologists. They are not the father. They are the people who give birth to the wine, and we are trying to give birth to those wines and to be very honest. So we let them be who they are, and they are the child of nature. And this nature, this is what they want them to be. So this is practically what we are doing, creating an honest wine in a very natural way to reach people and consumers who like those kind of wines.
Can we say in general that the Cabernet Sauvignon will give the tannins, and that the Cinsault will give the elegance and the fruitiness, and maybe the Carignan will give the acidity to the wine?
As Carignan will give acidity and structure, it has this depth. The astringency come. Look, and during, let me give you a general idea. During blind tasting, if you want to know how to differentiate the wines, if you have a Syrah of a Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah will leave you the tannins on the tongue. Cabernet Sauvignon will leave you the tannin on the gencive, on the upper part of your lips. So everyone will give something to your taste. Cinsault gives the fluidity. It's the bond. It's the bond who will join the Carignan and the Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet give you this astringency, is this tightness, and the Cabernet and the Carignan will give you the depth. It is most of the wines in Lebanon, and especially since grapes in Lebanon, especially Cinsault and Carignan, are very, very in love with our soils, because they express the reality of our soils. If I want to see a soil, if you want me to give me a grape and tell me, Tariq, this is which soil, I prefer to be Cinsault or Carignan, because from them I can discover what is the soil. In Cabernet is a Cabernet. I need to go to over maturation, because Cabernet have a lot of character. It will hide these soil characters. So Carignan is the depth. Structure, the astringency come from Cabernet Sauvignon, and the link between them and the elegance come from the Cinsault, as you already mentioned it.
I will give another description which is much less technical. I would compare a wine to a human body, and I would say that Cabernet Sauvignon, which brings the structure, is the bones. Carignan, which brings all the flesh and the body, is the muscles. And Cinsault, which brings the elegance and the perfume, is the skin. Okay? So you have both interpretations, and then you can choose which one you prefer. And when we do our blendings, for us, each character of each variety must bring something. So here we have bones, flesh, muscles, skin, but you can bring other characters of a human body if you want to compare the wine to a human body, so that when you mix and you produce this blending, you have a wine where the different characters are in harmony all together. This is the important thing. It's the harmony when you finish the blending. When you've decided what you want to produce, is you need to have this integration between all these different components. And that's the most important part. If you have too much tannins, it will show. You will have a reaction, an opposition from your body to something which is too extreme. So you need to be a bit moderate and have something which matches each other.
Okay, wow, nicely said. And can we say that, so actually question, is it a field blend, or is it really different vineyards which have different grapes? Or are they all just mixed in each other?
It's everything. It's different varieties on different vineyards. So we have same varieties on different soils, and then different varieties on different soils. And then we do the blending when we feel that we have a vat which has a certain character, like complexity, like richness, will go more into Chateau. One which is more fruit-oriented will go into the Jeune. So and then it depends obviously on the varieties, but it's all the mix that we taste all together, and then we decide which one is going where. And so one year you might have a vineyard which would go in a wine, The next year, because of climatic conditions, of terroir, of something that happened, it might not be up to the same standard, or it could be a more important standard, so it would go into another destination. So it's really a year-by-year decision.
Okay, let's go to the next red one, which is the 2010, which would be actually at the point of drinking it. Let's say the start of the beautiful.
Correct. Except in 2010, you chose a vintage which is very, 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 very difficult. Because in 2010, we had a huge heat wave and we lost 50% of the crop. So we had a lot of concentration, and therefore.
If you have the two glasses next to you, 2018 and 2010, you will see that even the colors are similar due to this concentration. During 2010, we have 48 degrees, as he told you, for 3 days. It's more than 50%. We lost about 65%. Many wineries in Lebanon didn't make the harvest. We just made the harvest and make this very small quantity of wine, but we have a lot of concentration, a lot of taste, and a lot of complexity.
If you say that it's that warm, I'm now looking to the bottle. It's 13.5% alcohol.
13.5.
13.5, yeah.
Yeah, because we picked early. Because we've had to pick early.
2018 was 14, so you have less alcohol in the warm vintage, in a difficult vintage.
Because it was a heat wave, it stopped maturation.
Yeah, true.
Let me tell you what will happen in heat wave. Heat wave, you have the water out of the skin, and you have the grape itself will leave about maybe 20-30% left. It's not high in sugar content, it's low in production. There is practically no production.
It's in fact a stress that happens.
Stress hydrique, exactly. In French, we call it the stress hydrique, exactly. So I have Serge, his father, bring some PhD in viticulture from Italy. He was afraid, and we went together with this Italian guy, and we went into the vineyards. He looked at the grapes and he saw them very tiny, and with some reed. The reed was as if you are an old. You understand when you have old, or when you are an old man, you have those reed. So it was all the grapes. All the grapes will have those things. He told me, Tariq, look, or you will make your worst wine ever, or the best wine ever. So you choose.
Where they say you recognize a good winemaker in a bad vintage.
We prefer to have good vintages and a good winemaker.
If you noticed a lot of astringency and a lot of chocolate taste. It's a dark chocolate due to this concentration. Hello?
Yeah.
I lost electricity, but I'm still online. So this is good. So you have a lot. You have a lot of taste, dark chocolate. This is concentration and a lot of depth. And this is, you can see what is the difference in 2018. 2018 has less astringency, more depth. This is 2010, more astringency with the same, but more astringency, more character, more muscles. Like they said, more muscles and more bones. Over there, it was much more elegant, much more silky. This is a year of stress. What gives, you can see the strength and the concentration of the grapes inside of a glass. It's a very good lesson for a year which is have a very hot year, and where we lost a lot of production.
Does it mean then in 2011, so the year after, that it has also some effects on the vines?
No. We didn't have a big production 2011, but we have a great year. But we didn't have. I have to admit, it was not a great production because the grapes were suffering from 2010 because you have the soils were poor of water. It affected always the year before affect the year after. This is always. But you have to to learn how to treat, how to prune, how to plow, when to plow. For example, 2011, I didn't plow 2 times because if you plow 2 times, you have evaporation. So I plowed only before winter and never plowed after. And I just make the weeding by hand. So you have to adjust your technical viticulture to protect the vines from the hydrical stress that he talked about. So you will lose more production. So this is a way how to adapt yourself as a human being for the viticulture. Nature will adjust itself. You need to just watch and learn. Do not put ideas. Do not invent things. Just watch and learn, and it will tell you and it will guide you. It's a guiding line. Nature is it really guides. If you listen well, it will guide you.
Tarek, how do you arrive to get enough acidity in a very hot year like 2010? Because you still have the potential in this kind of wine of 2010, even though it was a very warm year. You still have the acidity. You still have the aging potential. How do you?
Good question. As I told you before, everything stopped in the grapes. It reaches 13. Acidity was 4.2, I think, and everything stopped. You have 2 ways: or you harvest, or you don't harvest. We decided to harvest. Everything stopped. The sun didn't affect anything. It was just zooming. Acidity is 10. When you have a hydrical stress, people think sugar will go up and acidity will go down. This is wrong. Everything will stop. It's like you are taking a photograph. Everything will be freezed. The nature freeze. You know why it freezes? I loved your question. You know why it freezes? It is giving you opportunity to harvest. People doesn't know that. If there is a parabolic line that you have losing acidity, you will lose wine. No, it tell you this is it. Take it or leave it. Many people left it. We took it.
It's a Polaroid picture, in fact.
Exactly. It's a Polaroid picture. It did like that. Take it or leave it. It's giving you, and it doesn't give you a lot of time. 5-6 days, the days of harvest. Look, if I will tell you stories, you will see I'm a philosophical, I'm not a white. I don't want you to tell you because I will get excited and the tasting will go somewhere else. Believe me, it's something magical. You need to be in the vineyard to understand what's happening because things are really amazing. You have stories you can spend years and telling. I tell my children, I tell my daughter who is now studying like me. So this is stories you have to tell them because they will need to respect. I learned to respect nature. I was studying viticulture and enology, but I have to admit, I didn't have the respect. Now I forget what I learned and I respect the nature. And when you respect it, it will give you, it will learn you.
Nicely said, Tarek. Thank you very much. Let's go to 2000.
Oh, I hope you have glasses in front of you as if you have a piano and just try to smell all the wines. Unbelievable, as if you are playing a piano. It's a completely much more evaluating style. Leather, a lot of leather, a lot of chocolate, a lot of animal.
The tertiary aromas is really going out. It's really a big difference.
Yes, and you can see color is much more. It's much more brown. It's less concentrated. 2000 was the most, and the year 2000 was the most rainy year. We had a lot of rain and snow. You can see it from the color. So whenever you have such a brown color, you will understand directly it was a rain. And when you have a lot of rain, you have a much more bigger. And this is where the senso comes and dominates. And this is a senso dominating harvest. It's the same blend 33, but this is where senso dominates.
When you say it dominates, it means it dominates in the taste and in the aromas, or it also was more.
It's everything. It's in the shekel, in the shape, in the style, in the color, in everything. You understand? This is if you want to make senso alone, practically it would be like this one. Cabernet and Carignan have deeper in color. They will give you astringency and will give you opacity. It's much more opaque. Here, due to rain, you have this kind of brownish brick color.
So we can describe actually every vintage, most of the vintage, as like this is more Cinsault typed. And then, for example, the 2010, we just had more Cabernet Sauvignon typed.
Exactly.
Not for 2010, unfortunately, no. Because 2010, due to the heat wave, Cabernet Sauvignon, there was no juice.
Yes,
So
but
this is the exception because it was so extreme. But in general, yes, what you said, Dimitri, is correct. But 2010 is the exception which does not follow this rule.
but the astringency will put you there. Astringency will put you there.
Very nice to have the 2000, which is now going to a direction where you say, this is Musar.
Dimitri,
Definitely.
misschien een
And
keer
you
goed
need
om,
to...
Dimitri, misschien een keer goed om een keer wat foto's te tonen van de wijngaarden. We
Ja.
hebben niet echt een beeld gezien van de wijngaarden.
Show some pictures of the vineyard.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too small. I don't know.
This is the Byblos vineyard. This is Merweh. This is the Mount Lebanon vineyard, which I planted in 2017.
Okay, I have another.
Let me explain to you. This is very nice. Yeah. This is the Beka. This is Kefraya. This is where you have Cabernet Sauvignon and Cinsault.
And then I have
This is
another.
the gravelly soil.
And I also have to show you that it's really can be snowy.
Yes. This is the Tel Noub area, and this is Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard, because we put the Chateau Musar sign in front of the Cabernet Sauvignon and in front of the Grenache at the end. So, but this is Cabernet Sauvignon because the Grenache have a different look.
So we see it's always bush vines, which means picked by hand. So
Yes, always bush vines, because pick of hands. We do not put on trellis because we don't need neither the sun, and we don't have a machine to harvest. In Lebanon, if you put on trellis, you will destroy your grapes, and you will be and on the mercy of the climatic conditions, because here you have 4 conditions to succeed a good wine. First, you have to be adapted to the climate. You have to express the soils. You have to respect the land, and you have to be the human that links all together. If you put on trellis, you are giving the advantage for the sun, and the leaves will not protect the grapes. A trellis is good for the countries that does not have enough light, and people want to produce more, and they have the machine à vendanger, the machine to harvest. In Lebanon, we harvest by hand, and we have enough sun. We need shade for the grapes. We need grapes to mature slowly, to reach their phenolic maturation slowly. If you take out the leaves and put them like a lady who is going, or a man who is going to do sun bath, you will accelerate maturation, and you will lose your phenolic maturation, and you will have only sugar content. So this is the difference. When you have shades, you have more luck to have the phenolic maturation, the all maturation of the grape, not only the sugar one.
Gewoon even een kleine toelichting, misschien een klein vertalingsken, mocht het nodig zijn. Dus we zien dat allemaal bushvines zijn. Dus de reden van de bushvines is, er is genoeg zon. Dus het is niet nodig van de druiven te leiden langs draden, zoals dat we meestal zien. Want als je de druiven leidt langs draden, dan is het natuurlijk om wat meer zon te krijgen. Maar dan ga je natuurlijk, moest je dat daar doen in Libanon, dan ga je krijgen dat die druiven veel te rap suikers vormen, maar uiteindelijk inwendig de pitjes nog niet volledig rijp zijn. Dus dan ga je niet de verwachte concentratie of de verwachte kwaliteit krijgen in de druiven. Dus vandaar dat het hier allemaal bushvines zijn, dus kleine struikjes, zodanig dat de druiven eigenlijk ook wat beschermd worden en op die manier niet te vlug rijpen. Dus er is voldoende rijping. 's Nachts is er ook afkoeling, waardoor je die aciditeit, die elegantie bewaart. En op die manier kan je dus eigenlijk daar de beste kwaliteit van druiven krijgen.
all right. Are there any questions about the red wines? to ask. But this is something you can age for decades. I had the luck already to taste some wines between from the 70s, from the 60s. I remember that we had, I think this friend is also in this tasting, but we had a 72 in a restaurant that we had together, and we opened it and we tasted it right after. And yeah, it was very good, of course, and we tasted, and after a certain while, the bottle was empty. And actually, the last glass, we said, damn, now he's getting really to another level. He's really opened it. So it was 2 hours after the opening, and we felt sorry that we didn't decant the wine. So even when it's 72 or very old, don't be afraid to put it in the decanter, because the air is really the friend of this wine.
I would also recommend two different things. First, opening the bottle. Please be very careful. The corks at that age are sometimes problematic. You can face a lot of issues. If you want, you can go on our website. We have a video which explains. We recommend using prongs, like Tarek's showing you. Sometimes even the prongs are not enough, so you need to combine prongs and the corkscrew. And the second thing, always decant Musar. Other wines of the world, if they're old and you decant them after 5 minutes, they're dead. Musar will always benefit from decanting. So decant to oxygenate and decant to separate the lees. Okay, it's very, very, very important. And don't think that if you haven't finished the wine on that night, it's going to go bad. On the contrary, 8-9 years ago, we had the visit of a group of MWs in Lebanon. And Tarek, if you may remember, we decanted double decanted 277s. One was poured the day of the decantation process. The other one I put on the table of my kitchen for 10 days, and I served it at a dinner 10 days later, and it was better. So, okay, don't think it was double decanted and just closed with the cork. Not something special, not in the fridge, nothing. So, Musar can withstand a lot of things. Okay, don't be afraid.
That's exactly what I had when I started working here 7 years ago. I asked Dimitri one day that I wanted to have a glass of wine on a Saturday evening. My wife was out with some friends. So I wanted to have one glass of wine. So he advised me, I think it was the 1998 red Musar. And he said, you taste one glass Saturday evening, you pour the second glass, you leave it in the kitchen, and you drink it on Sunday at noon. And I did, and I experienced the same, that it was even better. And I think if it would have lasted some more days, that it would even be more better. So that was the perfect thing. Maybe it's good to come back to Dimitri, because I saw he took something when we talked about opening a bottle of Musar.
Mhm.
Yes, you talked about the prongs. Also, Tarek showed it, but this is maybe you don't see because it's with the back. This is the prongs that you have, and then with these two things, you can open it. You put it in the bottle, and then the cork, and you turn it around so the cork doesn't stick to the glass, and it's really easy to pull it out. So Musar has these things, and I still have some. So for the people who wants to buy some Musar, I will give you this to open it for sure when it's a bottle which has some aging.
Yes, the cork play a very important role in a wine bottle. It is a kind of something in the lifespan of a wine. So don't be shy to learn how to open a bottle of wine. When I first come to the winery and making wine, I was not an expert in opening bottles. And suddenly, after 4 or 5 years, you begin opening a bottle of wine. And suddenly, after 10 years, you become opening 1958, 1956. And you do shit, damn, this is a good specialization. You could be specialized in opening bottle of wines. So remember one thing, opening a bottle of wine, just be logical, use the correct tools. And whenever it exceeded the bottle of wine 20, 25 years, go to bronze. Don't venture into open it into normal.
before
If
2025.
you can,
After 15
20
years
years.
of age, 12 years of age,
Yeah.
start using prongs. It will make things easier.
It will not make for if 12, 15 people will use them. But after 20 years, when you have a 20, 25 years, go use the prawns and open your bottles. Never lose a bottle of wine for a cork. And one thing is for sure, even if the cork is not good, even if it is make you some problems to open it, never underestimate what it can do. It can protect always the wine. Do not judge the wine from its cork. Taste it and enjoy it. Okay, this is something. Sometimes the cork is bad. I agree with you all, but the wine is really good. Do not think if the cork is bad, the wine is bad. This is something totally different. Some bad corks can protect their wines. This is something just you have to taste always the wines.
En
This
zoals
is
Dimitri zegt,
this is
die een
this is
Axo.
general knowledge. This is general knowledge.
I would just give some explanation on the Axo. So we still have some. Dus we hebben nog een beetje van die speciale openers voor mensen die misschien twijfelen over hoe dat ze dat moeten gebruiken. Er is ook een filmpje dat gevonden kan worden op het internet. Ik denk zelfs, Dimitri, corrigeert mij als het niet juist is, maar dat je kan via de QR-code op de fles of op hetgeen dat meestal aan de fles hangt, een kleine label, voilà, dat je daar kan scannen en dan kom je op een filmpje waarin dat je perfect kunt zien hoe je dus het toestel, de Axo noemt dat, hoe dat je die kan gebruiken om een ouder kurk of een kurk bij een oudere fles uit de fles te halen.
Ja, er hangt bij het jaar 2000 hangt er zo'n flyerke aan de fles waar er een QR-code is, waarin dat het uitgelegd wordt hoe dat je dat dan het beste gebruikt.
And I think from now on, in every tasting of wine, we have to open a bottle using the corkscrew, and this should be a part of a learning wine session. So whenever you go into the wine, you just not only taste it, but only learn how to open it. I think this is a very good introduction because really, if you want to cover all the panels of wine tasting, this is a very, very important panel.
Okay. And in the same time, the whites which were poured out has gaining some temperature if people have served them chilled. So it's better for the white wines to gain the temperature and to be served also at 16 degrees, let's say. So they give 14, 16 degrees, so they give the best potential of the aromas and the complexity. So let's do the first white. Some people have the 17 in white and some people have the 2009, which was the upgrade. And then we go to the 97.
So I have the 2017. If I know you have the 2009, I would ask for 2009.
But the most of them have 17 and half. It's 17 and 9. So
So in fact, the Chateau White you're tasting after the Chateau Red. It's a blend of two local varieties, which are Obeid and Merwah. These varieties have been blended since 1989. We used to produce a Chateau White before that time, but apart from the 86, it was always Merwah only. It was a monovarietal. So it's only from 1989 that our Chateau Musar White is a blend, with a couple of exceptions, 92 and 2015. These varieties are in the mountains. They're at 1200 meters altitude, so higher than the Bekaa Valley. And because they're whites from local varieties, they get to maturity after the reds. And so we pick them in October. And we bring them at the winery, and they are fermented directly in oak barrels and aged in oak for 9 months. Then we bottle, we blend, we bottle. And we store 6 years before releasing. Like the reds, these whites have huge potential, and so we keep them for 7 years before releasing, and then you have the opportunity to drink them directly or also cellar them and see how they can age for, like the rest, 30, 40, or 50 years. And as you can see, you've all tasted the whites. You've tasted the white 17 after a red 2000. But in the mouth, you don't have any more taste of red. the white has wiped everything out. It shows you the potential and the power of this wine. Normally, if you taste the white after a red, the white doesn't show. The red is there and the white fades away and does not exist. Here, on the contrary, the white has pushed everything aside.
Sarah have asked a question. Yes, Marweh and Ubaidi are both native grape varieties. Marweh is from mountain Lebanon, and Ubaidi is from anti-Lebanon. But Marweh have a lot of age. It was here since 6,000 years. It is the birth of grape varieties that traveled through the Mediterranean. And I think the grapes that was in Lebanon mostly were whites, because Lebanon was much more in those days were much more have a different climate, more snow due to its mountains, more rain, and the Merweh will be very accommodate with those such a climate, because it's a very high acid grape varietal. It's like practically like the Riesling. So whenever you have the climate is rainy, snowy, cold, you have those Riesling, you have those kind of grapes, Sauvignon Blanc, which have a lot of acidity. And this is exactly what happened to Merweh. Merweh come from a region of Mount Lebanon, which was very, very rainy and snowy. But the Abaidi came from a different area, from anti-Lebanon. But the age of Abaidi, if I don't, on a personal level, I don't think have the same age of Merweh. Merweh was the oldest grape varietal, let me say, that I know.
Does it have some skin maceration?
No skin maturation at all. No skin, because once we tried with his father. I tried in the early 2000. We tried two things. We tried to be sure. We tried late harvest, and we didn't like what we have from the Mount Lebanon. And we did skin maturation. It comes orange and very bitter. So it doesn't need, because it have a lot of flavonol, a lot of taste. When you have a lot of taste, you need to be here when the Merweh arrived. It's like an explosion. It's like it's a fiesta. It's a fiesta. It's a lot of explosion of fruit, lemonade, zestiness. You don't even just smelling the juice. You know that everything is in the juice. No need to have more skin maturation. You will need more skin maturation when you have for example, if I'm a winemaker, I will do it for Pinot Grigio, for example. I would do it for skin maturation, but not for Merweh or Sauvignon Blanc or grape varietals that are indeed very rich and acid and crispy. You don't need it.
Okay.
And the 2017, it's very nutty. It's oaky and nutty. And I think also 2009 is very oaky and nutty, and have a lot of deeper taste with the honey aftertaste. Those are 2009 look a bit of 2017, but it have much more oakiness in it now. 2009 is much more oaky and much more mellow, much more integrated now.
I'm really surprised about the 9, which has a very nice freshness, a very nice acidity. It's really saltiness again, really drinkable, you want more. It's very fresh. You would never guess it's 9 when you do it blind. You will guess it much more younger.
Look, you have 3 years into 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2009. Those are and 2010. Those are from those decades are very remarkable year that make your let us say make my mind blows. It's very, very distinct. Those wines are very distinct. 2009 have took a lot of was better during the working in it. It was not from the harvest, was not as good as after finishing it, the winemaking and the aging. It is done by that, because the successful winemaking and the aging was very, very positive to this wine.
Which I see also is that it's now very popular to when you go to a wine tasting, and a wine producer, when they produce low alcohol, they are very proud to say it's only 12% of alcohol. And then I see now the white 17 only has 11.5% of alcohol.
Yes, from 2001, from 2000, let us 3, 4 onwards, we have less alcohol content in the wines due to climatic conditions, also due to early harvest, because we have a lot of rain in October, and you have to make a choice or you harvest early, or you wait the rain. If you wait the rain, your harvest will be completely different. This is a very big dilemma in our Lebanese mountain. In the Bekaa, we have maybe once each 20 years this dilemma. But in Lebanese mountain, you have always this. If you reach October and the wine is not, and the vines are not very mature, you have to take decision. You know that the rain is coming. So what do? So we harvest early. I think this is, you need to explain in German to your clients, because this is very important in Chateau Musar white wine decision, because sometimes you need to pick up early just not to have rain and to have to change and wait and everything.
Mhm. You said that you tried the sweet one and the orange one,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
remember from the previous
Not orange wine. We tried to macerate. We tried to macerate, and we tried this kind of sweet wine. We have to try it, but we didn't like it. Both of us. We had 3 barrels of each, but we didn't continue. It was in the year, if I'm not wrong, 2000, I think 2001. We tried it and we just stopped. We said, let's keep back. Sometimes you have this, some experiments are very good for your winemaking techniques. You learn a lot about it. You learn from it, and even if it was not successful, but it gives you a lot of ammunition for your winemaking in the years. And this is what we have done. We have done a lot of experiment. Most are not known. Even Gaston, maybe some doesn't know. So, and people, of course, will not know. But this is very obvious. So, sweet wine, you will never believe a winemaker who did not try to make a sweet wine, and you will never believe a winemaker who said, I never make a skin maceration. So we tried it both. I am being honest, but we didn't like what we had.
And your experiment with the amphoras?
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I realized one thing. I tried amphoras and I tried red grape varietals from Lebanon. For the first time, I had about 200, 300 kilos coming from somewhere in the Mount Lebanon, and I put them in amphora. It was not a very pleasure experiment.
Now you know.
It was good in fermentation, and after racking the wine into another look, amphora for me, it was used as a gimmick marketing, and it was used long time for transporting the wine. There was no glass, there was amphora. Rarely amphora where wine is fermented. Okay, maybe in some countries, but in general, amphora is for the wine, like for the wine vessels. It's like the glass now. Okay, it's for the conservation, not for the fermentation, because it lacks a lot and it is porous. It makes the oxygen goes. You understand? It's very difficult. So we did the experiment, and we stopped the experiment.
I have a question over here from Sarah, who is asking if there is a malo for the whites, Chateau Musar, or is it just a maturation?
Yes, all the wines do malolactic fermentation. Everything do malolactic fermentation, because to stop malolactic fermentation needs to add a lot of sulfur, and we are natural winemaking. So all the natural phenomena in wine will happen in our wine, white, rosé, or red. This is a very good question. I forget to tell you about that. Yes, no malolactic fermentation. Everything is done. So there is malolactic fermentation in our wine. We don't stop anything.
Okay.
Let's go to the white 97.
Yes. The orange. This is an orange wine. As you noticed, very nutty also. It's a very nutty. It's evolved nutty than the 2017.
It's really tasting good.
Yes, a lot of apricots, acidity from the apricots, nutty, a lot of honey, but in the same time, not sweet. As if it is taking the good smell of honey, but doesn't give you the sweet taste. Unbelievable. The color and the smells are for a sweet wine, but this is not a sweet wine. You understand? This is something unique.
Good question from Olivier. What to pair with the whites? Food pairing.
Everything he can pair. He can pair fishes. He can pair. Serge used to say
Foie
gravlax,
gras,
foie gras. Everything is
smoked
to be.
salmon, gravlax, cheese sometimes, depending on the age of the white.
Look, I have
White meat also sometimes.
I have to admit, once in my after second year of marriage, I took my wife in 2010. Yes, 2010. I took my wife for a dinner after 10, 11 years of marriage. I forgot, maybe 10 years of marriage. So I get to a restaurant and I tasted 2000 white wine. And it was a chef in a hotel in Beirut, and she suggests to me to drink our wine, this wine of 2000, with a dessert, with mango ice cream, and it was magnificent. I never dreamed that this wine could go with dessert, mango, and ice cream. And it was magnificent. It was a very, very nice dessert. This is what I recall because I was surprised to have this kind of the 2000 Chateau wine with a dessert style, some mango sauce, and the acidity of the mango sauce explode with those wine, as if they went together, as if this wine is made for this dessert. When when pairing is successful, it will tell you, you will feel it directly.
Actually, these white wines, they have actually everything. They have an acidity, a nice verticality. They have a body, ripe fruit, lemon zest. They have actually everything. So in terms of combination, you can go wild. You can go almost every direction. Everything.
That's the advantage. That's the advantage. Huh? It's very layered. It's very complex. It has everything in that it should have. So you can combine it with whatever you want.
I like this one. We had a natural guacamole with the grilled bacon. Guacamole will go right with this one. This is the guacamole and the mango have this, let me say, this depth and this basic styles with the olive oil, with a lot of explosion of taste. And this will go nicely with those wine. I agree completely with your taste. Organic viticulture. Yes, organic. Gaston. Okay. Gaston. Okay.
In fact, they can be paired with a lot of different tastes because they have so much complexity that they can match. They have a large palette to match something with. But sometimes also they don't need anything because they're so rich and so complexity with such a variety that they match only with themselves, and then you can taste them for 3, 4, 5 hours and you don't need anything else. So not only you can pair them, but you can also not pair them. You don't need, because they have so much body and richness and complexity. And this is what makes them interesting.
In my 2017, I can feel mandarin and passion fruit. Unbelievable. I can feel mandarin and passion fruit, when you peel the mandarin and you have this acidity, this bitter acidity, you understand? And also a smell of passion fruit. Unbelievable.
And it keeps going, it tells you a story, and the story is like never ending, and it's changing.
Yes. This is the richness of a natural winemaking and organic viticulture. This is the richness. It gives you endless amount of styles, of taste, and of aromas, and of bouquet.
And just to remind, we have a wine in the glass of 28 years old. Just to focus.
Yeah, 20 years old.
A dry white one. So a challenge for a lot of other white wines to do the same. What is the secret? What is the secret of Chateau Musar to be like this, to do this, to be on that level, on that height, on that dimension? I don't know how to describe it.
Okay, Gaston.
In fact, who knows what's the secret? We don't even know what's the secret. When my father started producing the wines, he didn't know that he was going to produce those styles, nor those unique characters. And it only happened that he met afterwards with great journalists, great sommeliers, great wine writers. And this is where he realized that what he was producing had such exceptional characters. What's the secret? We don't know. It can be a lot of things. It can be the location of the winery, it can be the concentration of the grapes, the low yields, the climatic conditions, the varieties, the way we ferment.
The winemaker, you can say it. You can say it.
It can be so many different things that we don't know what is really, if there is one thing which is a secret, or it's a mix of so many different things which makes the secret. You know, when we have to change something, because we cannot keep everything the same, things at the end crumble down. You have to replace a machine, you have to replace an equipment, you have to replace something. And we are very, 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 very careful in how we replace it and what we do, because we don't know what's going to be the impact of this change on the evolution of the wine which is going to go to be used with this equipment. And therefore, it's really a challenge. Until now, we succeeded in having and in keeping those characteristics of aging, of potential, of everything in the wine. And we hope we'll continue. But we don't know what's the secret. Why are we still here today? What's the secret? Our body is still standing. I can collapse in half an hour, I can collapse in 20 years. Who knows? What's the secret? Nobody knows. Life. Life is its own secret. There's no answer to that question.
Well, this is the kind, but if you noticed, this is for Hans. There's always natural yeast. To be honest, let us, if you recall,
natural wild yeast, not only natural yeast.
Yes,
because you can take the wild yeast and you can multiply it and then
wild yeast, natural wild yeast.
Wild yeast.
Let me tell you one thing. If you notice the history of Lebanon and you see the temple of Bacchus, and Gaston have already made his presentation, wine have been always in this region. And putting Bacchus in the Bekaa Valley means that the best wines were done here. And I don't think 250 years before Jesus, there was yeasting and there was oenological product. So the natural best wine ever produced was in Lebanon. What we did, I think the secret is we have, as simple as that, the best soils for viticulture and for adapted grape varietals to our soils. And this is what we inherited from 6,000 years ago till 2,000 years ago, and we emphasize on it. When Serge Rochard starting to making wine from his father, not his father, from his father, he said, I want to make a natural wine. I think what he did, he just did what the others did long time ago and was the pioneers in the wine. And Lebanon was the old Bordeaux of the wine, but with no technological advancing, no yeasting, no filtration, nothing at all. And this is the relation between the human being and the natural soils and the product, which is the vines, have led to a very good viticulture. And this is what we have done. We just learned, we are in the 2025, but we learned from nature. We give you the best result in our country. That is the best place to grow vines. We are giving you, so you have this, this secret, between brackets, this secrets of never-ending wine, this story of the wine that it left. If I want to make an industrial wine, I would make more yield, I would have added yeast, I would have an oenological product, and I would make 3 million bottles. But I would make a chocolate, Mars or Lion Bar or Bounty. This is not the case. We are giving you the most natural product that is the best for our country. So this is where we are now. We are giving you the best result of a country that was the berceau, where everything starts in the winemaking. And I think the Phoenicians were the first winemakers, and this is why they were the first maker. Chateau Musar is the modern testimony that we are where the viticulture was for the first time in this part of the world.
I'm sharing the Bacchus temple. Can you see it, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so this temple, if you see at the bottom left, if you can see my mouse, there's a guy here. You see him?
Yeah.
So this is the height, 180, 170. And so this is the Bacchus temple. So you see the column, this column is 24 meters height. It's 1.8 in diameters. And you have 48 columns all over. This is the size which was built 2000 years ago. Oh, the columns are in three pieces.
In
Only
three
three
pieces.
pieces.
Okay.
Three pieces. Only three pieces. Next to this, from the photograph, if I'm the photograph, on my left-hand side, there's the Jupiter temple. Unfortunately, the Jupiter temple, which is the god of gods, there's only 6 columns left. But the 6 columns are not 24 meters height, they're 27. And the diameter is not 1.8, it's 2.1. So it gives you an idea. Why did they build this? It's the biggest temple dedicated to the god of wine built during the Roman Empire. Why did did they build it in Lebanon? I'll let you answer the question.
So somebody is asking, are you afraid from climate change? We have a lot of we have a lot of worrying about climate change. For example, this year we have less rain than normal, and we will see hydrical stress. We are using all our physical and logical way to viticulture to try in our physical way to avoid this kind. This year we harvested on 26th of July for the first time ever in my life. So it was 2 weeks before time. Yes, it is happening. We are trying. We are trying just to adapt. The soils are still intact. The climate is changing. We need to adapt our viticulture to this climate change. How we do it? We are learning each year. We are learning. We are trying. We are maybe the only winery who does not. Maybe I don't. I will not. I will not claim that we are the first or the only one that we do not irrigate. Many wineries, many people who have a lot of vines are starting to irrigate. We are not irrigating. We are losing a lot of production, but we are keeping the same vines. I think in viticulture there is no way. There is no way you cannot adapt. Yes, there is climate change. There is climate change, but we need to adapt. It is more difficult than before. I have to admit, it's much more difficult than before. In 1999, I start my first plantation. I plant, and each 4 days I would irrigate. Now, if I want to plant any soil, I need to irrigate each day. As simple as that. Just to let you understand how much the level of humidity in the soil is now low. You have sometimes the level of humidity will enhance the roots. Level of humidity in soils are very low. So you need, when you plant, you need for 2 years to irrigate each day. So we need to irrigate each day. If you do it one or each 2-3 days, you will have a very slow croissance, very slow maturation process in the plantation. So this is very, very important. You need to adapt. You need to understand. But I think it will grow soon. And I think this is a circle. We are in a circle which is now is very hot. It's not hot. Let me say we have less water than before. We have less rain. We have less rain than before. And if we have rain, we don't have it on many different days. You have on one day 100 milliliter, and in 29 days you have nothing. So it's extreme climatic conditions, but we are trying our best to adapt.
It's not it's climate change. It's not heating of temperatures. Water of the mountains from the snow melts, yes, but this year we didn't have a lot of snow. So we didn't build the reserves. So this is what Tariq was talking about. Now, to give you an example, last year, as Tariq said, we harvested end of July instead of harvesting beginning of August. And we didn't understand why. We finished harvesting 15th of September. And then hell broke out. So now we understood why we harvested 15 days early. Nobody knew before, but afterwards you understand. It comes like this. Okay, it's not something you choose. You don't have the choice. You realize you're at maturity, you start harvesting. Then 15th of September you finish, and then on the 20th it's hell for 2 months. So that's Lebanon. You have to count on your star to lead you, and well, we're following that star.
It's very nice to hear that because actually I think in Lebanon everything is a challenge, even electricity, which is normal for us.
Yes.
In Lebanon,
Well, you've seen it twice tonight, once at my home and once in the winery. So yeah, everything's a challenge.
it's a luxury to have electricity. For us, it's normal. In Lebanon, it's a luxury. But also to have the products like the bottles or the corks arriving there, the transport, the logistical system, everything is like a challenge. You need to be very, let's say, adventurous to make wine over there. You need to be a damn good gynecologist. How do you say it, Tarek? Gynaecoloog, let me say in Dutch. You both, everybody's doing a great job because you make wines which are standing out. It's like you take you on a journey, which is so beautiful. You are catapulted in another dimension with these wines, which is the idea, but rarely you have these kind of feelings with wine. So thank you for sharing this, and thank you for making wines like this. I hope you can do it for a very long time, and we're enjoying it every day. So
Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Dimitri, for organizing with Hans and with Luc. And we hope we'll do a in-prompt session one day soon
yes,
again.
Thank you, Dimitri, Hans, and everyone. Thank you for let us sharing this journey. It's a passion, and when you live it, you see it as a challenge. I see it as a way of life. It's our way of life, and we are very happy to share it with people who appreciate it. Thank you very much for hosting us.
we met several times in real life, which is always a big pleasure. And the energy you're sending out in real life is amazing. But even
Thank you.
you manage it to do it by the screen, which is also really remarkable. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, and thank you
Thank
for
you,
your nice
everyone.
word. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, thank you very much. Ja, aan iedereen, dank u wel om erbij te zijn. Het was weer een fantastische degustatie. We hebben mooie verticale gedaan eigenlijk. Mochten er nog vragen zijn, je kunt u gerust unmuten nu of ze via de chat zeggen. We kunnen nog een beetje nababbelen. Maar goed, dit was Chateau Musar. We hebben er uiteraard nog heel veel in voorraad. Dus wees meer dan welkom om ze te bestellen uiteraard. Want dat is hetgeen wat we altijd doen, is dingen tonen. En met veel plezier verkopen ze dan ook nog. Dus meer dan welkom. We horen het wel of we zien het wel. Ik heb dus zo van die kurkentrekkers. Of van die prongs noemen ze het. Er is ook een boek die zeker de moeite is. En er staat overal zelfs een handtekening in. They are signed. Dus het boek is ook te koop. Mocht u het nog een keer willen nalezen, heel het verhaal en de passie voelen, dat is zeker de moeite om het te hebben. Hè. Dus iedereen welkom. En dus ik zou zeggen, ja, misschien tot de volgende keer. Wie weet.
Ik ga gewoon nog even eindigen met een commentaar van iemand die, het is naar iedereen gestuurd, maar ik ga het even voorlezen. In which someone who was with us said that Tarek, and I would say in extension the whole team, also with Haston and Jane, and the whole team of Chateau Musar, says that Tarek and the team he's a magician and a philosopher, but above all a superb winemaker. Congrats, and please keep on the great work despite all the challenges. Dus what I understood was that what left in my mind is that you can have a lot of learning to be a winemaker or a wine grower, but at the end you have to listen to nature. That's what was Tarek saying. You have to listen to nature and adapt constantly. If it's climate change or a very warm year or less rain or no matter what, you always have to listen to nature respect nature, and then at the end you arrive with wines like we tasted this evening. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.